The government of National Accord, head by Faiz al-Sarraj, said that its forces would keep fighting after a unilateral ceasefire declaration by Khalifa Haftar's Libyan National Army. Libyan National Army spokesman Ahmed al-Mismari said earlier that the army was adopting a ceasefire during Ramadan in response to requests by the international community and friendly countries. Al-Mismari warned violations by the government of National Accord would be met with an immediate and harsh response. Turkey's planned deployment of Russian S-400 missile defenses has been delayed by the coronavirus outbreak, but will ultimately go ahead, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's spokesman said on Thursday. Erdogan had told U.S. President Donald Trump several times that he was also interested in purchasing Patriot missiles. The United States has said that Turkey risks U.S. sanctions if it deploys the Russian-made S-400s. As many as 29 relief trucks affiliated to King Salman Humanitarian Aid and Relief Center, KS Relief, have crossed the Al Wadia border point last week carrying food aid to Yemeni governorates. The packages included 1,500 food baskets weighing 165 tons, 39,375 cartons of dates weighing 315 tons, and shelter materials containing 240 tents, 1,200 rugs, and 3,600 blankets. This aid will be distributed in Taiz, Ma'rib, Aden, and Hadramaut. The Lebanese government has approved an economic reform plan to save the country from its grave crisis. A source added that the cabinet approved the plan after minor amendments, noting that the question of the exchange rate was not decided on. The pound is still pegged at a rate of 1,507.5 to the dollar, even as it has slumped below 4,000 on a parallel market since October. Iran's health ministry said that 71 new deaths from the new coronavirus outbreak took the country's overall toll past the 6,000 mark. He added that another 983 people tested positive for the virus during the same period, bringing the total of diagnosed cases to 94,640. More than 75,100 of those infected had already been released from hospital after recovering. Health ministers said that the coronavirus pandemic in Palestine has been brought under control. She affirmed that only 501 cases of infections have been recorded. She noted the health ministry and competent authorities will conduct an epidemiological survey of areas adjacent to the apartheid wall, as well as official and unofficial crossing points. Life has returned in the cities and roads of Jordan, with the streets of the Jordanian capital Amman filled with vehicles, the movement of which is organized by the day of the week according to an even-odd license plate policy, while around 50% of public vehicles are back on the roads. The country has been in lockdown since March, but restrictions are now being relaxed. The services of barber shops and laundries were also in noticeably high demand. Iran's Revolutionary Guard Corps IRGC Naval Force Commander revealed the Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei has tasked the IRGC with making Arab Gulf islands habitable. This includes the occupied Emirati Islands. Meanwhile, the IRGC is trying to justify its retaliation against U.S. forces in the Arab Gulf amid a raging war of words between Washington and Tehran. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani had accused the U.S. of conspiring daily against Iran. Saudi Arabia announced it was easing restrictions imposed on the Al Qutaif province that were introduced since the beginning of the coronavirus outbreak in the kingdom. An official source at the Interior Ministry announced that people can now enter and exit the province, reported the Saudi press agency. The changes will be effective as of Thursday. The source said that the changes were made at the recommendation of health authorities in line with precautions over the coronavirus. Germany has banned activity by Lebanon's Hezbollah movement on its soil and designated it a terrorist organization. Police conducted early morning raids in Germany to detain suspected members of the group. Security officials believe up to 1,050 people in Germany are part of Hezbollah's military wing. The United Arab Emirates called on all Libyan parties to commit to the UN-supervised political process to end the country's war. The UAE commends the Libyan National Army for conducting anti-terror operations, a statement by UAE's foreign ministry said, expressing its categorical rejection of the Turkish military intervention in Arab affairs. The statement expressed the UAE's support for a political solution based on the Berlin Conference, calling on all parties to commit to the political process under the supervision of the United Nations. Around 100 Israeli protesters rallied outside the Supreme Court against petitions to disqualify Benjamin Netanyahu from serving as Prime Minister while facing criminal charges. The court is scheduled to hear petitions from several non-profit advocacy groups against the coalition government deal reached by Netanyahu and his main political opponent, former Army Chief Benny Gantz. Under the deal, Netanyahu and Gantz agreed to share the premiership, with Netanyahu serving as Prime Minister the first 18 months and Gantz serving the next 18 months. The head of the World Health Organization (WHO) said international health experts will convene on Thursday to evaluate the evolution of the COVID-19 pandemic and advise on updated recommendations. WHO chief explained that the emergency committee meeting would mark 3 months since members agreed that the new coronavirus disease was an international global health emergency. The emergency committee consists of 15 independent experts from across the board, brought together under a treaty known as the International Health Regulations (IHR), which guides global health response. Dubai has ordered 19 shops to close and warned 165 more for failing to follow precautionary measures put in place to combat the spread of the coronavirus pandemic. Authorities also fined 2 more shops for breaking the rules, while 505 outlets were found to be compliant. The announcement is the 5th day in a row from Dubai Economy as the department monitors whether businesses are following coronavirus rules. The United Arab Emirates sent an aid plane containing 7 metric tons of medical supplies to the Philippines to bolster the Manila's efforts to prevent the spread of COVID-19. The aid will assist approximately 7,000 medical professionals as they work to contain the virus. To date, the UAE has provided more than 334 metric tons of aid to over 32 countries, supporting nearly 334,000 medical professionals in the process. Egypt affirmed its steady and unchangeable stance towards the Palestinian cause, rejecting the Israeli unilateral move of annexation of the occupied lands in the West Bank and Jordanian Valley. In the Arab League Council online extraordinary meeting at the ministerial level, Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry called upon the Arab world and the international community to unite for bringing the peace and stability for the Palestinian people and the establishment of the Palestinian statehood on the border of 1967 and Eastern Jerusalem as its capital. Egypt Air announced it will reopen bookings for domestic and international flights as of May 16th in anticipation of any decision to resume flights after it has been halted since March 19th due to COVID-19 pandemic. Egypt Air said that in case the flights are cancelled and the decision to suspend flights continues, the bookings will be postponed to other dates without fines applied to passengers. This comes in accordance with the old operating mechanism before the travel ban, while all flights will be subject to the government's decision to resume. Head of the Central Administration for Agricultural Quarantine, Ahmed Al-Attar, has said that Egypt is currently topping world countries in the export of orange, surpassing Spain, which was seen as the world's #1 exporter of orange during the past few years. In press statements, Al-Attar added that the Spanish markets received this year around 3,000 tons of Egyptian orange. Since January 2020, Egypt's total exports of agricultural products exceeded 2.2 million tons, despite the global outbreak of the novel coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic. France is encouraging people to cycle to keep pollution levels low once lockdown restrictions end. Under the €20 million scheme, everyone will be eligible for bike repairs of up to €50 at registered mechanics. The funding will also help pay for cycle training and temporary parking spaces. Nations worldwide are grappling with ways to change urban transport in light of the coronavirus. Paris Saint-Germain had been awarded the league first title after it was announced the season would not resume because of the coronavirus pandemic. Paris Saint-Germain were 12 points clear at the top of the table with the game in hand, while French football was suspended indefinitely on 13th of March. Earlier this week, the French government cancelled the 2019-2020 sporting season. This season's European Champions Cup and Challenge Cup quarterfinals will not be played before September after the French government banned all sport for the next 4 months. The last 8 of the competitions involving 6 French teams were due to take place from 3rd to 5th of April, but they had already been postponed because of the coronavirus pandemic.